I'm greeted this morning by the F&M Bank chat that says, "Good morning, fam. Someone go let Buck in. He probably forgot his key card. Not so fast. I made it here. It's a Friday. I wasn't even supposed to be here, and I showed up anyway." Much to Lucas's. I don't know. Are you happy that you don't have to do this today, or are you sad because you have to deal with me for 3 more hours before your weekend can begin?
Somewhere in between.
Okay, that sounds about right. Good morning.
Good morning.
615-737-1045 is the number. Join in at any point throughout the course of the day. We got a lot of things going on. We got Eric Cain here in just about 20 minutes. We're going to talk about the Vols and the transfer portal. Some interesting updates worth paying attention to in pursuit of a tight end, it seems, at the top of the portal wish list for Josh Heupel and his staff. We got Tyjae Spears at 12:15, although I did see that there were some adjustments to the Titans' practice schedule, Lucas, so I probably ought to follow up with Puff and see if that affects us at all. It shouldn't, but that doesn't mean that it won't, so we'll see. But Tyjae Spears will be on at some point in the noon hour. You'll just have to listen to find out.
Maybe ask him about the Tulane coaching search that is underway.
Oh, did they move on from their coach? Who was their coach?
Their coach moved on from them.
I see.
Willie Fritz has taken over at Houston, and Tulane is in need of a head coach.
Who was at Houston previously?
What's that?
Who was at Houston?
Dana Holgorsen was fired.
He was fired.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, isn't Dana Holgorsen there? And his, if ever I could describe somebody as having wisps of hair at this point in their life, Dana Holgorsen is it's not a comb over. It's not a comb over,
It's
but
wisps. Yep.
There are wisps.
Yep.
Anyway.
John Summerall of Troy has been a candidate for that Tulane job, but didn't think that's what we would open with.
Coaching hot board, Tulane coaching search. Stick around. Maybe we'll get to it later. Patriots. Speaking of stinky football, how about the Pats? 21-18. Snapped a 5-game losing streak. That and the New England Patriots in the same sentence is just such a foreign concept to me.
Second time this season they have scored 21 or more in a game.
God. So they go to Pittsburgh, who just lost to another 2-win football team here very recently. Now the Patriots have 3 wins.
What was the other?
The Cardinals. These are back-to-back losses to 2-win football teams for Mike Tomlin. And, Kenny Pickett's obviously out. How good Kenny Pickett is to begin with is obviously a talking point. Mitch Trubisky, we know what he is, and he is very much what he was last night, which is disappointing. I don't know how often Ramon Foster, as a Pittsburgh Steeler, was a part of an offense that was booed as vigorously. Now, full transparency, didn't see the game last night. Lucas, you said you watched it from start to finish?
The boos in the first half. It was a weirdly entertaining game because you expected a horrendous game. The Patriots had 3 wide receivers active last night. 3. Bailey Zappi, 3 touchdown passes in the first half. Hunter Henry is balling out. Mitch Trubisky was awful in the first half of that game, and it was some of the most venomous booing I have ever heard from any fan base. It was coming through on the broadcast. So I asked Ramon this morning if he had ever been subjected to something like that as a player. He said, no, not like that.
How did you just pronounce subjected?
Subjected.
You said it's subjected.
Subjected.
Why are words so hard for us as broadcast professionals? It does words and math. You'd think we'd be better.
You nitpick, though. You nitpick.
Some things are worth nitpicking. I'm still trying to figure out what is the word that you pronounce? Dispatch.
Dispatched.
Dispatched. It's like
what
a dispatch. It's a very weird thing that you do. I don't know. These are my hangups. I don't know what to tell you.
Is this what Grace has to deal with?
Oh my God, yes. Like, listen, this is what my therapist has to deal with. This is what my family has to deal with. When I actually show up to things, this is a common thing. You, unfortunately for you, are just the person who I happen to spend the most time with on a regular basis. So, Patriots, arguably one of their best performances of the year. Watched the condensed version this morning. The thing that stood out to me, beyond the struggles for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is that the results of this sport on a weekly basis will surprise you. One game out of a 16-game slate is going to surprise you on any given Sunday, Thursday, or Monday. All right? I don't know that Monday Night Football in Miami is going to be that. In fact, I very much have the opinion that it's not going to be that. I think that that's going to be the most predictable result of the year. I think that they are flying down to South Beach, or technically to Miami Gardens, to get their asses kicked in front of a nationally televised audience. I don't think that Monday Night Football.
You good?
No, but I caught it.
Oh, you hit a wall there.
Literally a wall. It's just a wall of phlegm. God, it's so bad. At some point, I'll start taking better care of myself. I don't know. How does Mike Keith get through NFL seasons? I mean, I see the man eat more cough drops than any human being alive. Maybe that's the key. It's just a constant flow of what's the Ricola, just constantly.
It's good stuff.
As a part of your steady diet on a regular basis, because I don't ever hear that man have a hitch. But anyway, these are not the things we're here to discuss. Point being, Patriots, bottom 3 team in football this year?
Yeah, indisputably.
Okay.
Right? Is there an argument against?
Well, let's go through this again. Who are the worst teams in football this year? Panthers.
Panthers.
Patriots. Bears.
I mean, do we call the Cardinals? Like, the Cardinals, record-wise, are.
They're kind of feisty.
They've been feisty with Kyler Murray back in the lineup.
But they're still a bad football team. Again, they are only a 3-win football team.
And they're fighting under Jonathan Gannon.
So is this team, and it's got 4 wins. So, what are the differences? Do we feel that the Titans are feisty?
The Patriots have been, I would argue, the most unbearable team to watch in the NFL this season.
Yes. No. That is 100% accurate. 100% accurate. But as we kind of look at ways that this team, basically signs of encouragement, signs of growth for the Titans specifically, teams stuck in this form of purgatory. The Titans have a better trajectory than does New England. And even New England showed some signs of life last night, is my larger point with this thing. So down the stretch, we'll find out what happens on Monday Night Football. We'll have a couple more days to talk about it between, the Sunday night primetime show and a radio show from Miami on Monday, where Ramon and I will both be, him on the sidelines for Titans Radio, and I will be in the press box.
Did you know Bill Belichick is 10-3 now against Mike Tomlin?
I would have guessed that he had a really good record, because the Patriots and the Steelers with Brady and Roethlisberger had some really, really not just close, but dramatic games.
Right, which is why I would not have thought that there would be that much disparity.
Some with controversial finishes, but they almost always seem like the Killer Bees era of Pittsburgh Steelers football against Brady and Gronk is something that I remember very, very clearly with Lev Bell, Roethlisberger, and Antonio Brown. And the Steelers having better football teams they didn't play annually, but almost every time that those two teams met, and the Patriots still coming out on the better side of things because, was it Jesse James, the tight end that had a touchdown pass called back or a touchdown reception called back? They had some controversial calls in a lot of these games that were always on primetime, it felt like, and they were always hugely competitive. And it always seemed to kind of be a bit of a tipping point for the Steelers because, like so many other people, they just couldn't get past the Patriots. They couldn't get past Brady. So teams in kind of a state of purgatory right now. Is Pittsburgh one of them?
Yes.
At 7-6?
Yes.
Because Mitch Trubisky played and started at quarterback last night, but there is nothing certain about Kenny Pickett's future there. I'm kind of in the same spot, even though Pickett is obviously a better player than Desmond Ridder. I'm kind of in the same spot with Pickett that I am with Ridder, which is, all right, these are probably one contract guys in their current spot based on how things are going right now. They'll figure out how to build around him, and they'll probably try and reset at quarterback, or at least that should be the thought process based on what we've seen from Kenny Pickett. And I know Mike Tomlin thinks he's tough as hell and all these different things, and he might well be. And I don't know. I mean, I just don't think there's nothing about Kenny Pickett that makes him special.
Yeah, is he tougher than a $2 steak, though?
Again, the thing with $2 steaks is they're often not good. 615-737-1045 is the number. Vols transfer portal. There's been some news. There's been some updates. Eric Cain will walk us through it coming up next. I don't know if we got Funk, but we got Eric Cain of VolQuest of the Locked On Vols Daily Podcast here with us here in just a second. Going to talk a little transfer portal and kind of put a bow on the Vols season as we get ready for bowls. We were just talking about this. There's really not this is the first time I feel like I've had a Saturday without something that we absolutely had to watch for the purposes of discussion beyond college basketball. Obviously, Vols playing on Saturday. But be curious to get Eric's perspective on a couple of things, including the commitment yesterday by Jordan Seaton. We talked about the number one offensive tackle who ultimately declared for the Colorado Buffaloes, where Tennessee was definitely in the mix, so much so that Lucas basically told me before the show, hey, just be prepared if this guy commits. This is something that we're going to have to kind of clear the decks for. It didn't happen. He went to Colorado, and Dion, from the shadows, gets a bit of a coup. Eric Cain of VolQuest, Locked On Vols podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts on a daily basis, is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. What did you make of the Jordan Seaton commitment yesterday?
That one could have went so many different directions. And we, over at VolQuest kind of said that. I think Tennessee was in a really, really good position, about as good as a position that it could possibly be in. But I don't think that, Seaton had told the staff, both beforehand at any school. I know that, we thought it was, either Tennessee or Oregon. Oregon thought it was Oregon, Ohio State. Ohio State thought it was Ohio State or Tennessee. I mean, point is, nobody knew exactly what was going to happen. And then Colorado comes out of left field and, makes a huge splash. But, Jordan Seaton's a guy that had 7 teams as finalists, Colorado, Alabama, Florida was on that list as well. So nothing shocked me with his recruitment, but it is an unfortunate miss for Tennessee, because Tennessee was in a good spot, in my opinion, and he's going to be an impact player that's going to be ready to go next year.
So that brings up a whole different kind of rabbit hole discussion, because the difference between Tennessee and the programs that it wants to legitimately compete against at the top of the conference and potentially for national championships, the difference between them is most apparent in recruiting. So where Dion is coming in, and I understand that Dion's practices in recruiting are far from proven or even viable based on how the last couple of weeks and months have gone for him. So that remains to be seen. But what do you tell a Vols fan who? Okay, it could have gone a variety of different directions, but the specific direction that it went and the program that he went to, that's a tough thing for a Vols fan, I feel like, to overcome, because it just doesn't feel like there's a level playing field there.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. It's unfortunate, but you got to factor in the Dion, just kind of the Dion factor in all this. He took the college football world by storm the first couple of weeks of the season. Of course, the record isn't there, and he's had a lot of decommits, here lately in the last couple of weeks, and currently there's not an offensive coordinator. Currently there's not an offensive line coach there, and so you take all that into consideration, but then it's Dion, the way he's connecting with some of these prospects, his pedigree. I mean, none of these kids were alive when he was playing, but they they can go on the Wikipedia pages, they can go on YouTube and see who Primetime is, and they know exactly who he is, and he's done a good job at kind of connecting and being that cool thing. And, for some kids, they just love that. And, Jordan Seaton is one of those kids. And, he'll do a good job there. He'll go in there and he'll play from day one, I would imagine. So sometimes your relationships can be good. A lot of times, the NIL, would be competitive with pretty much anybody, and you're still going to miss out on the kid. And I think that was kind of the case here with Jordan Seaton.
So, Eric, I know a lot of Tennessee fans were anticipating the Seaton announcement. A lot of Tennessee fans have their eye on the tight end position as it pertains to the transfer portal. Justin Joly, the UConn tight end, no longer visiting this weekend. Looks like the Vols will have interest in Holden Stace, the Notre Dame tight end. So my question to you is, if the Seaton thing didn't work out, what is the next piece of good news that Tennessee fans could anticipate? What do you think could be that first bit of good news this offseason for the Vols?
Yeah, I would certainly say probably a commitment from the transfer portal. Again, this time last year, Tennessee had already had 2, I believe. Tennessee went up and ended up taking, I think, 8 from the portal last year. So they're going to start rolling in here, don't worry. And I would assume it's probably going to be first from the transfer portal. Tennessee's wanting to sign another high school player or two. That board is really, really, really deserted right now because, it was Roger Saliapunga. Well, he goes to Oregon. Cam Michael, well, he goes to Colorado. It's Jordan Seaton, well, he goes to Colorado. And, Jaron Sensabaugh is going to come in. I know he's from the mid-state of Innsworth, and he's going to come in for a visit this weekend. And we'll see what happens there. But there's a lot of names being tossed around the transfer portal right now. You mentioned the tight end position. Holton Stays, I think, is a guy that, depending on how this weekend goes, maybe he could be the first one. A new name, Bauer Sharp from southeastern Louisiana. He's going to be in town next weekend. There's Juice Wells from South Carolina was going to be in town, but I think both parties kind of decided to move on. So, we'll see what happens. But I would probably say transfer portal because there's going to be new names popping up, each and every day. And then, of course, depending on how you want to answer that question too, maybe a COVID senior is going to announce that he's going to come back. And there's going to be a couple of those for sure. And you're going to see more of those announcements in the days coming up because, the coaching staff's got to know who's playing in this bowl game, right? So I think you're going to get some good news in that regard. And then hopefully in the transfer portal here in the next days to weeks.
@_Cainer is where you can follow Eric Cain of VolQuest and the Locked On Vols podcast available to you daily. So priority-wise in the transfer portal, where do you start? Obviously, tight end is a position that they are pursuing.
Yes, and that's priority number one. You look at your current roster right now. You have Ethan Davis, who is going to be a starter next year, who the staff's really, really excited about, super athletic and all that. He's a scholarship tight end. You have Emmanuel Okoye, who is on scholarship, but I don't think that he's close to helping you out. I mean, he's still new to the game. They got him from the NFL Academy in London. Super athlete, but I'm not sure he's ready to help you next year. You got Jonathan Eccles, who's coming in, part of this freshman class. But, there's no experience, right? And so Tennessee's obviously made it abundantly clear that they need to go find a tight end. And I think you want to bring in, 3 total. So, either it's 2 from the high school ranks, 1 from the transfer portal, or 2 from the portal, and, of course, 1 from high school. Tennessee needs to bring in some bodies. So we'll see what happens there. And then, outside of tight end, I think Tennessee would like to see a receiver. I think Tennessee is evaluating offensive tackles in the transfer portal. Tennessee's taken 2 offensive tackles each of the past 2 years at the offensive tackle spot in the portal. So tight end, offensive tackle, wide receiver, and then, defensive back. I think you've seen some names pop up in terms of Tennessee holding out some offers and all that as well. So that's kind of the pecking order I see. And then, of course, if it's just a good player, a lot of times it's best available, right? You're not going to turn down a player that maybe you're good numbers-wise at the position, but if they want to come to Tennessee, sometimes you'll see some of those as well.
So the Citrus Bowl is Tennessee and Iowa. What do we anticipate? I don't imagine they're terribly forthcoming with media about their plans, even if it is a bowl game as far as personnel decisions-wise. But what do we anticipate is going to be the plan for quarterback and specifically the secondary, where I know there's some Vols fans who would like to see some of the younger depth guys play more than they had during the regular season?
Yeah, no doubt. Joe Milton, it felt like he was going to play, and I'm not saying that he's not going to play, but I don't think it's as certain as it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago whenever he pretty much left the Vanderbilt press conference after the game saying, hey, we got one more. We'll see what Joe Milton decides to do. And if Joe Milton ends up playing in this game, then that'll be his last game for Tennessee. If he doesn't, then, hey, the Nico era officially begins at Tennessee. So I wouldn't call it a slam dunk either way, and again, that's a decision that's going to have to be made here in the coming days because the staff has got to know who's going to be your quarterback for the next couple of weeks. But anyway, so Joe Milton's one to watch. In the secondary, a lot of these guys have decisions in terms of COVID eligibility. Danico Slaughter, Tamarian McDonald, Wesley Walker. Wesley Walker's injured right now, so he's going to be out anyway. Gabe Judy Lawley. Brandon Turnage, who entered the transfer portal. So, depending on if these guys want to exercise that year and come back and play, not exercise that year, but still play this last game for Tennessee or whatever, we'll see what happens. I think Ricky Gibson, the freshman quarterback, is going to see some run anyway, just because you've already had a couple of quarterbacks that have gone to the transfer portal. You're a little bit banged up at the position. So, Ricky Gibson, the freshman quarterback, I think is somebody you're going to see play. a lot over the bowl season and practice, and then he should get some run in the actual Citrus Bowl.
Now, Milton's going to be fascinating just because now, the draft is beyond the bowl game, and what his decision there is, like the draft process for him is going to be a really, really interesting one. And I don't know how much that factors into his decision as far as trying to put more on tape, I guess, for people to consider further as he gets ready to go through that process this coming spring, or just for the opportunity to play or sit out and not risk injury. The whole thing around him specifically is going to be one of the more curious storylines of the offseason.
I would agree, and as well as I do, covering the NFL and covering the pro days and the combine and everything. I mean, he is going to throw routes on air in shorts.
Yeah.
And these scouts they're going to drool over him. I mean, he's going to be the talk of the combine, talk of the pro days. I mean, he's going down there and he's going to be the talk of Senior Bowl because he's going to show out the entire week of practice. And I'm not saying that he's going to be fourth overall like Anthony Richardson, but I mean, I think you're going to see him kind of grow in terms of his stock go upward. And so, if you think that's going to happen, then do you want to take the chance in getting hurt in this bowl game? Yeah, I mean, that's something you got to think about. And But here's another thing as well. He's from Orlando. He loves playing in the state of Florida. This is going to go home and play in front of all his friends and family. And I think that's something he wants. So, I mean, if I'm Joe Milton, I think you were going to play a couple of weeks ago for sure. But now I think it's kind of a decision, and obviously a decision that all Tennessee fans are looming towards because you can see Joe play one more game, or you can see again the start of the Nico era.
@_Cainer is where you follow our guest, Eric Cain. You can read him on VolQuest. You can hear him on the Locked On Vols podcast daily, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Buddy, I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for doing it.
Hey, thank you, guys.
That's Eric Cain. A lot of stuff there. A lot of fascinating decisions for this coaching staff.
The Joe Milton draft conversation will be a fascinating discussion in the coming weeks and months.
I mean, he's so right about Milton at pro days. The combine. I mean, the Anthony Richardson comparisons were flawed from the jump just because the athlete that Anthony Richardson is as there's not ever been a more athletic quarterback that's tested at the combine than Anthony Richardson. You hear this? I mean, that's not hyperbole. That's not just me. That's not me not keeping my powder dry since Coach Mack is not going to be on the radio show today. Like, that's quantifiable based on the measurements of all the different drills they put him through. Anthony Richardson, the most athletic quarterback to test at the combine. Milton is not that. So, like, right there, those comparisons should have not been kind of propagated, even though I understood what people are doing. Size, athletic gifts, or arm talent gifts. But again, what is Joe Milton's arm talent beyond just
chucking
heat?
Chuck it deep. James Franklin, shout out.
Yeah. And by the way, that's exactly what he's going to do. Like, he's not Malik Willis. Those are two different situations. But I feel like there are going to be some parallels there to their draft process.
Well, shall we compare numbers between Anthony Richardson's final year at Florida and Joe Milton's final year at Tennessee?
Yeah, I think that'd be
Top
interesting.
5 pick, Anthony Richardson.
Yep.
So, at Florida, Anthony Richardson in 2022 completed 53.8% of his passes for 2,549 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. He had 103 carries for 654 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. Joe Milton this season for Tennessee has completed just under 65% of his passes for 2,813 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. He has ran the ball 78 times for 299 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. So Milton's passing numbers are all substantially better than Richardson's were. Rushing numbers.
He doesn't get the carries.
Lower. He doesn't get the carries.
And doesn't take the carries.
And Tennessee was 8-4. Florida was 6-6. I know it's a lot deeper than that, but I'm just fascinated to see.
It doesn't have to be that much deeper than that.
Joe Milton's nowhere close to a top 5 pick. This is a
no, I'm not arguing that.
Loaded quarterback class coming up. But it's going to be really interesting. Milton also a lot older, right? That's a factor. Anthony Richardson was
20.
Couldn't buy a drink during his draft process. Milton's 24. So that plays into it. But I just wonder, in a year like where Kenny Pickett got drafted in the first round, in that Pickett, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder class, where would Joe have stacked up then? Where would this version of Joe Milton have stacked up in that class? The class around him matters as much as anything, and this is an incredibly deep quarterback class.
Ridder and Willis went in the third. I mean, Joe wouldn't have gone much lower than third in that quarterback class. This year is different.
Very different.
And
very different.
There's like Quinn Ewers is expected to come back, right? There's going to be, obviously, Riley Leonard is transferring. He plans to stay in college. What's the deal with Carson Beck? We know anything about that?
I think Carson Beck's expected to return to Georgia.
But he's been at Georgia for some time. I just wondered because
I think he'd technically be eligible, but I think he'll be back at Georgia. Brock Vandagriff has announced the Georgia backup, former 5-star. He's headed to Kentucky. So I think that people have used context clues there.
Tyler says in the chat, I'm curious how Milton will score on that RAS test. So that's, I think it's like, it's something like relative athletic score or something like that. I think I understand. I know what he's referencing. I just don't know the exact terminology. The tested athleticism where Anthony Richardson got a perfect score. Yeah, and again, they are not the same, Richardson and Milton. There are reasons why people thought that those comparisons might be apt, and I don't think that they were based necessarily off the athleticism of the player. Joe Milton is obviously a high-level athlete, but Anthony Richardson is like a specimen.
Sure, but it's not that complicated for people. It is just a mega talent who you wanted to see more out of in college, right? I think it's that simple when people are drawing those comparisons.
615-737-1045 is the number. You can jump in at any point if you like. Don't forget that Tyjae Spears is going to be on with us in the noon hour. Friday Fire at 11:45 today. Coming up next, though, we'll do the SEC stat of the day. We'll see where Lucas is headed because the only college football game this weekend is Army-Navy, or tomorrow is Army-Navy, right?
That's correct. 3HL on site.
They're there.
They've got a good show planned today in Boston. They're going to have the commissioner of the ACC on.
Ooh.
So that could get spicy with the
Has
situation
he done a lot of
around Florida State.
Has he done a lot of radio interviews?
He's put out a statement. I'm not going to act like I know if he's done a lot of interviews, but yeah, Mike Oresco, who is retiring, by the way. So we'll see how guns blazing he is on the way out. But he will be on 3HL at some point today.
Do the right thing, Mike. Burn it down.
Burn it down.
Burn it down from 3 to 6.
So yeah, tune into 3HL for that. That could be interesting.
Good get by them. All right, SEC stat of the day. That's next. It doesn't feel like a Friday. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we don't have to, like, you and I aren't about to be busting it all weekend. There's no Vols. There's no Titans until Monday. I don't know. I feel that this is as casual a Friday as we've had in quite some time, bud. Vibes are high. Jump in if you want, 615-737-1045. Should be a fun weekend. We'll do Friday Fire, speaking of good vibes and positivity, at 11:45. But in the meantime, the stat of the day.
Let's talk about SEC, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about Nick Saban and Josh Heupel in the SEC. Let's talk about SEC, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about Brian Kelly and Greg Sankey in the SEC. Let's talk about SEC.
First SEC stat of the day Friday that is not prior to a slate of games. Last week, obviously, it was just the SEC championship. But this weekend, it is nothing but Army-Navy, which is going to be fun to watch, but obviously does not involve the SEC. So,
do you feel a bit lost?
Yeah,
Directionless, perhaps?
That first weekend, it's always those few weeks between the end of the regular season and conference championship weekend and the start of bowl season are always so weird. You're in this weird college football season purgatory because I can't wait for bowl games to start.
Sure.
But SEC is not involved in bowl season for like 2.5 weeks. It's very awkward, the college football calendar. I look forward to the expanded playoff, hopefully remedying some of that. But anyway.
Don't tell Pate.
Five is the SEC stat of the day. Very simple. That is the amount of teams that are not bowl eligible in the SEC this season. So I went down the list because I'm wondering, okay, which head coach of these 5 teams faces the most pressure going into 2024? And we'll modify that number to 4 because one head coach has already been fired, and that's Zach Arnett out of Mississippi State.
Yep.
I've called him Will Arnett on this show before. It is
the SNL actor?
He was never on SNL, Will Arnett, but
who's the guy I'm thinking of?
Maybe
Who does Will Arnett do all his movies with?
Will Arnett does a lot of work with Jason Sudeikis. They did Arrested Development together.
Wait, Jason Sudeikis is on Arrested Development?
I'm sorry, Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman is who I'm thinking
Excuse
of.
me. Was Jason Bateman wasn't on SNL either. I don't know anything about SNL.
Zach Arnett, great comedian, not the former head coach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Will Arnett, great comedian.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
doing it again. Anyway, Zach Arnett got fired. Mississippi State went 5-7. So Arkansas went 4-8. Last season under Sam Pittman. Vandy went 2-10 under Clark Lee. South Carolina went 5-7 under Shane Beamer. Florida went 5-7 under Billy Napier. Buck, which of those 4 would you say faces the most pressure going into 2024?
Billy Napier.
Billy Napier is my quickest answer as well.
Is it close?
Well, I think there is a case there for Sam Pittman.
Okay.
I think Sam Pittman was closer to being fired this season than Billy Napier was.
We heard more about Sam Pittman's job security than I felt like I did about Billy Napier. Now, admittedly, I'm not following the Florida Reddits or blogs right now, but I felt like it was louder around Pittman in the offseason, nationally.
I maintain that if Arkansas had not pulled out that win over Florida on the road, their first ever win in Gainesville in overtime late in the season, and if they had finished 3-9, I think that would have been the breaking point. I think the margins were very thin. Anytime your AD is having to put out a statement on why your head coach is going to be retained, conversations happened. Arkansas hires Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator.
Which I love that was one of the conversations that had to happen. Now listen, Sam, if you don't bring Bobby back, okay, I want it to be the athletic director's idea. I love that it's Sam Pittman's idea.
Right, so it's a great hire, but does that really make anybody more secure about Sam Pittman's job?
If anything, it makes you feel less secure.
Absolutely. Bobby Petrino, the prodigal son back in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So
that is so sacrilegious what you've just done.
I do think that there is a case to be made here that it is Sam Pittman who faces more pressure in 2024 than Billy Napier. As far as recruiting success, Florida definitely has the advantage there, but we're seeing a lot of Florida players hit the portal. We're seeing a lot of heavy contributors hit the portal. Trevor Etienne looks like I've seen Georgia, I've seen Ohio State, I've seen Alabama mentioned for the star running back who hit the portal out of Florida. Man, that'll be a tough pill to swallow for Florida fans if that guy goes to Georgia. But right now, Florida holds the number 6 recruiting class in the 247 Sports composite. They have a couple of 5-star commits. They have a blue-chip quarterback in DJ Lagway. So that is reason enough for Florida to continue to look to 2024 as the year that something has to happen for Billy Napier. Does that mean that you're relying on a true freshman quarterback in DJ Lagway to spark this offense and give reason to bring Billy Napier back for 2025? I don't know, but the vibes are not great right now in Gainesville. And then that brings you to Shane Beamer in South Carolina and Clark Lee in Vanderbilt. Where are we at with those two programs right now? Clark Lee just saw basically his entire roster hit the portal.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Vanderbilt did get a solid portal commit, safety from TCU, a former 4-star prospect. But if you're Clark Lee, you've definitely got the toughest job out of any of these guys.
Oh, it's not close. I don't want to say that I feel bad for him because it's a Power 5 coaching opportunity, and it's his alma mater, so it means something to him. But he has to, in a quiet, private moment, kind of be looking around and be like, the hell do I do here? Because what is a feasible solution for him at Vanderbilt to even kind of achieve the level of competitiveness at the bottom of the SEC that they should be striving for, right? I mean, nobody realistic is going to expect Vanderbilt to contend for conference championship games or a national title or something like that, even though that'll be in every statement for every coach that's hired. Hell, they put it in an MTSU statement. That's fine. Like, I appreciate those as aspirations. But the portal has made Clark Lee's job so much more, a job that already seems a bit impossible, so much more difficult to do. But, I mean, what is the vibe around him? I have no sense of Clark Lee's level of security or lack thereof at Vanderbilt because of how Vanderbilt typically handles these things, which is just kind of And I mean, is it Clark Lee's fault? How much longer does he want to sign up for something like this? Derek Mason gutted it out for far too long, it felt like. And that reached a boiling point to a certain extent. And I don't know, coaches aren't just going to walk out of a job necessarily. But the Vandy experiment, we'll call it, it's so bleak. It's a little, I feel bad talking about Vanderbilt football because I have nothing good to say about it, but I can't find reasons to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There does seem to be a commitment there for NIL. The Athletic, Joe Rex wrote a good article on The Athletic about that it seems like there is opportunity there for Clark Lee to use that to his advantage. How much he is able to will be interesting. Ricky on the F&M Bank chat says, also the portal entries were huge losses for Vandy. London Humphreys, who appears to be destined for Georgia. Like-for-like replacement, it would seem, for Ladd McConkey, and that seems like a great fit. And congratulations to London Humphreys, if that is indeed what happens. Sure. It's been really fun to watch that kid grow up through CPA and contribute there and then go to Vanderbilt here in Nashville and then potentially move on to the Georgia Bulldogs. But that brings us to Shane Beamer at 5-7. What in the world does South Carolina do at quarterback? Because Spencer Rattler, I believe, is out of there for the NFL draft.
I mean, there's all kinds of quarterbacks in the portal. Does anybody want to go to South Carolina? Other than it's a landing spot in the portal for quarterbacks who are not going to have all the landing spots that they probably envision every time one goes into the portal. I mean, somebody's going to have the opportunity. South Carolina is going to have the opportunity to get some players at that position or to get a player of some consequence. But I don't know how. I mean, Beamer felt like he was kind of tiptoeing on being fired even this year. But between those four candidates, if you want to call them that, I mean, the one that seems for sure on the shakiest ground to me is Billy Napier. Just because of what, and it's not like Arkansas boosters aren't passionate about their football program, but Florida seem a bit crazy, just a little bit unhinged. There always seems to be some stuff swirling around Florida and the money. And you could probably say that of Auburn or all these, super tribal, super rich. SEC boosters and donors and things like that that get their hands all over the place. But like Florida seems less patient, understandably. They expect to compete for national championships, and they've not done so in recent memory. And they just seem a bit invasive.
I guess for me, if the biggest reason for encouragement around Billy Napier is a really good recruiting class being put together, better than Tennessee's for what it's worth. And the biggest reason for encouragement with Sam Pittman is that he brought in Bobby Petrino,
who is the next interim Arkansas head coach.
Right. I think I'm leaning towards, I feel like Pittman's on the shakier ground.
Well, because Pittman brought the bad guy in.
Credit Sam Pittman for it. And I know we could.
Credit
I don't know.
His doom.
I don't know. I don't know if that was a directive to Sam Pittman. You better hire this guy.
No, I'm not saying directive. I'm just saying, like, if you were going to hire somebody who might potentially undermine you, does Bobby Petrino not seem like kind of candidate number one on that list based on his and I'm not, I don't know Bobby Petrino. I'm just saying based on track record anyway. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join. Ryan is in Lebanon up next.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
So was looking yesterday, the Citrus Bowl came out with a halftime show of Gavin DeGraw. And I'm getting a lot of backlash from that, just because, man, I feel like the halftime show should be both bands playing. So I've seen a lot of people saying they were going to boycott, not go to the game, and all this, that, and the other. So, but anyways.
Wait, boycott the game over halftime? Is that what you said?
Boycott the Citrus Bowl.
I said I've seen people say that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying I'm doing that.
Okay.
But if you go through and look at the comments on Facebook, that's what a lot of people are saying. But
I try not to.
Let the bands play, man. Let the bands play. It's their time to shine.
Well, Ryan, I just looked it up. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl Twitter account did tweet out that Gavin DeGraw will perform at halftime. They also they got attacked in the replies. Let the bands play. The Bowl Games official Twitter account is saying that both bands will still get to perform. Iowa plays pregame. Tennessee, Pride of the Southland, will play at halftime.
Okay, but here's the deal. Nobody's going to be in there at pregame. Like, who? The people not tailgating anymore? Like, that's the thing.
That's true.
In a bowl game, they should both be able to play at halftime. And are they saying that Tennessee's not going to get the run through the T? Like, what kind of crap is that? That's tradition.
Well, I don't think you run through the T at a neutral site.
Yeah.
But I love that. Boycott the Citrus Bowl.
Over Gavin DeGraw.
You don't want Gavin DeGraw.
He said if you read the comments on Facebook, brother, if there's anything I've learned as an adult is that you do not read the comments on Facebook anywhere. It doesn't matter the subject matter. There's nothing good there. You're not going to learn anything. You're not going to be informed. All you're going to leave is dumber and angry for having read comments under anything on Facebook or Meta or whatever it's called. 615-737-1045. We'll do a little NFL. We'll do a pick six coming up next.
It is 11:02. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The New England Patriots grabbed their third win of the season, scoring all 21 points in the first half from 3 Bailey Zappi touchdown passes to win 21-18 at the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football. It drops the Steelers to 7-6. The Nashville Predators routed the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday 5-1 to improve to 14-12. Ryan McDonough and Roman Josi each with a goal and assist. As the Preds have won 9 of their last 11, they'll head north this weekend and drop the puck at the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow at 6 p.m. The Tennessee Titans will be off on Sunday ahead of the Monday night matchup in Miami. Christian Fulton, Joe Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, and Josh Wiley did not practice on Thursday. Mike Vrabel will meet with the media this afternoon in the 2 o'clock hour. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour, welcome in. Happy Friday. Lovely to have you guys here with us for another 2. Blaine and Mickey after that, 3HL, live from Army-Navy. That'll be awesome. It's always awesome. It's a great thing, a cool thing. How did that tradition start? I don't know the origins of that. I'm sure that obviously predates our time here.
Did you see who the guest picker is going to be on game day?
Did you see who they're actually interviewing as opposed to who you told everybody they were interviewing?
Oh, yeah, we misspoke. Mike Oresco, the AAC commissioner, not the ACC commissioner. Potato, tomato.
Something like that.
Quickly, let's sweep that under the rug. Did you see who the guest picker is on game day tomorrow?
No, I did not.
Bill Belichick.
Oh. Really? That's cool. Do you think he's going to be good? He is weirdly good in these settings. Like, and maybe it's because, again, we set the bar so low because his public media availabilities are wretched and not helpful very much at all. But, like, that thing, did you ever watch that, I don't think it was a 30 for 30. I think it might have been an HBO series, Saban and Belichick, like the two of them and kind of how their paths and how they intertwined and all these different things. Like, I thought he was really good on that. Now, that's obviously edited and all these kind of things, and this is live television, but I don't know.
His connection to that is he was raised in Annapolis when his dad was an assistant with the Navy football team.
Right. His dad, he's got some other attachment to the service academies for some reason that escapes me. Maybe it's just because The Art of War is his favorite book.
According to his Wikipedia page, he learned to break down game film at a young age by watching his father and the Navy staff do their jobs.
Okay. You think Patriots fans have a problem with that, given that it's the year 2023 and some of what's being alleged is that he's still doing some of the stuff like that? Either way, that'll be compelling television. You think they'll ask him about his ring camera getting hacked?
I hope not.
We never talked about it. You hope not?
I thought
you
that
hope
was...
Pat McAfee doesn't ask him about being shirtless on a ring camera? It's horrifying. It's terrifying. I hope it doesn't happen to anybody ever. I hate them happen to Belichick. But, like...
Yeah, that was... I cringed hard at that, man. I did not like that.
Well, yeah, because it's icky.
Yeah, like, just shirtless walking out onto his porch, and we're making that video go viral? What are we doing?
No, I'm not making it go viral. I got a TMZ notification about a shirtless Bill Belichick being caught on his own ring camera, as if it's some crime to be shirtless outside your home. Anyway, I would love if McAfee would ask him about it, though, because I feel like there's an opportunity for something good there.
Oh, they're playing Danny and F&M Bank Chat. They're playing in Foxborough too, so that makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
the Army Navy game is at Gillette Stadium.
Oh, I hate that.
Why?
Because it's just nowhere close to Boston. I mean, it's like an hour from Boston. I hate that drive. I've done that drive a lot. That's not an easy stadium to get in and out of. Logistically, it's a pain. I haven't sat in the stands as a fan. Obviously, I've been there to cover games.
A lot of stadiums are a logistic pain to get to in the NFL.
No, not like this one. This one is nightmarish.
Worse than Arlington? Arlington's pretty out there.
Lucas, I'm telling you, there's one road in and one road out. It is the North Korea of the NFL.
Fair enough.
It is always shrouded by mist and gloom and doom. It is in the middle of a forest in the New England area. It is the North Korea of professional football. And also, they make it so hard to leave that stadium. It is impossible to get a new. I'm done with my job 4 damn hours after the football game ends. How can I not get an Uber to the stadium 4 hours after the football game ends? Anyway, it's infuriating.
I maintain that Nissan Stadium is the best stadium location in the National Football League.
Probably.
Like, can you, of any that I've been to, and I haven't been to all of them.
East Rutherford is not logistically easy.
Like the fact that you can walk from Broadway over the bridge. I mean, Titans Radio, we get off the air an hour or so after the game, and I coast right out of there when I head home.
Yeah.
After a sellout, too. Like, I maintain that Nissan Stadium is one of the best logistical spots.
No, I'd hear you on that argument. SoFi's not convenient. They just needed an empty space of land to drop a spaceship in the middle of. Yeah, none of them really are. New Orleans Superdome is close.
Okay.
Close to Bourbon Street. It's walkable. It's for sure. I walked from my hotel to the Superdome this year.
FedEx Field is a pain.
FedEx Field awful. FedEx Field isn't even in the well, I guess it's not technically a state, but isn't even in the place.
Not even in the district.
It's not in the district. It's in Maryland.
Highmark Stadium in Buffalo is out of the way.
Yeah.
Even Kansas City, it's kind of out of the way from downtown.
It's off the highway. Yeah. I don't know how we got there. Anyway, pick 6 in the NFL. Titans don't play on Sunday. They got Monday Night Football. So a couple of games to note. Lucas, what's your favorite game on the board this weekend? Have you looked at the slate? Or are you blissfully ignorant of the NFL, given that we have a Sunday free?
Chiefs, Bills?
I would contend Philadelphia, Dallas. But Chiefs, Bills.
Eagles, Cowboys.
Eagles, Cowboys is a good one.
It's the best one. It's the best one.
It is the
Night
best
Football.
one.
It might be the best Sunday Night Football matchup that we've had all year.
There's a couple of other ones in here that I think are fun too. The Rams at the Ravens. Rams are 6-6. Ravens 9-3. They're competing for the number 1 overall seed, which currently the Dolphins hold. So every win matters for these two teams. Some numbers out of that game. Puka Nacua leads all rookies. He's got 77 damn catches. He can become the 3rd rookie in NFL history with 80-plus receptions in his first 13 career games, which would join. Can you guess? There's 2 names. They're both currently playing. They're both active NFL wide receivers. Who are the other 2 players who have had 80 receptions or more in their first 13 career games? Can you guess?
Is AJ one?
AJ Brown is not one.
Okay.
No, that kind of volume in the Titans offense, you're out of your mind.
You're right. Give me one.
Odell in 14, 91 and 14, which is crazy. 91.
Give me a hint on the other one.
Jalen Waddle.
Okay, yeah, just give it to me. I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I would have taken some time there.
You could have said Alabama, and I probably would have gotten there.
That doesn't. Did you see how hard a time we had going through the list of people that Nick Saban has to call on his check-in days of all the Alabama players in the league? That would not have helped you. There's like 6 Alabama wide receivers running around just in the AFC.
Tighten Up Tony on the F&M Bank chat said, guess Jamar Chase. That would have been a great guess.
Would have been. Indy and Cincinnati. Cincy 6-6. Colts, not comfortably in the playoff picture right now, but they are in the postseason picture right now at 7-5. They've won 4 straight games, most recently here in Nashville. It's the longest active win streak in the AFC. How many road games do you think that the Indianapolis Colts have won this year?
They are 6-6?
They're 7-5.
7-5.
How many games has Indy won away from Indianapolis? Remember that they also played, I think
they were in London.
They were in Germany.
Germany against the Patriots.
And I don't know if they were home or away. So
we'll count it. Count it as a road game.
Count it as a road game.
I hate, why do we do that? I get there has to be a designation. But does there have to be a designation? I hate that it officially goes in the record book as a home game because it's not.
It's kind of lying.
It's the opposite of a home game.
Yeah, it's quite literally the most polar opposite of a home game that a home game could be.
It's harder than any road game in the NFL.
That's right.
Is going across the Atlantic Ocean.
It's the most random.
But I'm going to say 4.
So if the Titans have not won a game on the road, the Colts have won 4.
I'm going to say 4, including the Germany game.
They've won 5, and I have to see if Germany counts for them. Because if they were the road team in Germany, then that would technically count for them. But still, the Colts have gone on the road and won decent games. Are the Colts the most surprising team in football? Texans? It's the AFC South.
Texans are up there.
I mean,
who's the most surprisingly bad team in football?
I don't want to say this one because I think we all kind of were on the verge of saying, they might be.
Chargers?
Yeah, it's probably the Chargers. You can't have a record that's under 500 with Justin Herbert as a starting quarterback, especially given that you're paying him north of $50 million a year. Anyway, we will get into the teams. Speaking of teams kind of in a rut, in a slump, NFL teams stuck in purgatory. Do the Titans count as one, or do you see a light at the end of the tunnel, given that 5 games left is what the tunnel currently looks like? We'll take your phone calls and get you involved. Don't forget, Friday Fire at 11:45, and Tyjae Spears, Titans running back, will join us in the noon hour. I'm Buck Rising, 104.5 The Zone. Does your NFL team feel like it's stuck in purgatory? Does that resonate a little more at 4-8? You know, somebody brought up in the comment section, Gentry Estes. He's the columnist for the Tennessean, if you're unfamiliar, sports columnist for the Tennessean. And apparently he had a pretty scathing column in his on the Tennessean today, saying that Titans fans are sick of the soap opera. This is courtesy of R. Johnson, who has provided us some context. Sick of the soap opera of not even knowing who is making the big decisions with the Titans right now. So, whether you consider that to be a form of purgatory or not, who comes to mind, Lucas, because this was your idea.
Well, before that, what constitutes an NFL team being in quote-unquote purgatory to you?
That's a good question. I would say that they are not the worst football team, but with no real path forward of consequential improvement. I think the Steelers are 100% a purgatory team. They're 7-6. I don't know. I mean, I think they'll finish with a winning record. 9-8 does not seem like too far out of their grasp, even though they've just lost 2 games back-to-back to 2-win teams, which I'm sure is driving I mean, based on the boos that you could hear viscerally last night, driving Steelers fans insane. And they've always I've had this experience every time I've gone to Pittsburgh to cover a Titans game. Like the Uber drivers, they're all sports fans. They all want to talk about sports as soon as it doesn't matter who you are. Like, it's not like they know that I do sports talk and they want to talk to me about sports. No, they want to talk about the Steelers. And I remember the first time I went to Pittsburgh and got that full effect, just melting my face off takes from my Uber driver who picked me up for the airport about Tomlin and these Tomlin games, right? Where it's not quite the Titans, where the Titans play down to the level of competition and or at least in previous years have played up to their level of competition, that there is at least one Tomlin game every year where they lose to a Cardinals team or they lose to a Patriots team in a critical moment where they should be able to kind of get a grasp on that to win or to put themselves in position to win the more consequential games. It does feel like they're in purgatory, even though all any of us can do is glow about Mike Tomlin, because how they do it this consistently, regardless of who's back there playing quarterback or running back or offensive line or defensive end, there's a little bit of magic to it, right? But they do seem stuck. They do seem like they've stalled out.
Like the Cardinals are not in purgatory.
Cardinals are bad.
They're a bad football team with trying to build a path forward
with all kinds of draft picks. If you wanted to sell me optimism for the Cardinals, I would just point. They're definitely in double digits. I don't know how many they have in the 2024 draft, but I know it's a lot.
First team that comes to mind for me are the New Orleans Saints. The New
Orleans Saints, that's a better one than Pittsburgh,
who are very much in play for the NFC South, and it feels like there's a very real scenario with the Saints where they win the division at 8-9, and it's all thumbs up. We're good. Won the division, host a playoff game. Derek Carr is your quarterback.
Who stinks this year?
Your head coach has a career record of 20-45, Dennis Allen. Feels like they're trying to do a lot of things the same way they did when Sean Payton was their head coach, but Sean Payton's not their head coach. And the New Orleans Saints have the least amount of cap space in the NFL in 2024.
Yeah, the cap, for people who say that the cap does not matter, the Saints and their usage of void years to kind of mitigate Breeze's contracts while still, paying Cam Jordan and paying a great offensive line group, Teron Armstead, like Kamara, it didn't happen all at once, and the Saints have been almost perpetually competitive. But now that the bill is due, they are in it, bud.
Titans have the second most cap space in 2024 at the moment, according to Spot Track. Titans have over $86 million, right, in 2024. Mm-hmm. Saints have negative $89 million, according to Spot Track.
Yikes.
For reference, the second least are the Chargers, who have negative 44.
And that's definitely another purgatory team because all they've done is lock themselves into future purgatory because of Herbert's contract. And I'm not saying that Herbert, you need to pay Herbert. Herbert is the best thing on your roster. He is the thing that is going to give you the best chance to succeed at any given point. But they paid all kinds of money for that defense, for Bosa, for the trade for Khalil Mack, for J.C. Jackson, who did not last very long there. The former New England Patriots corner who went back to New England. Derwin James, who has not, I can't remember what his injury was last year, but he hasn't looked like a return to form just yet. I don't know that Derwin James is like washed or anything like that. I'm not going to do that, but he just doesn't look as good as I'm accustomed to seeing him look. Chargers are a purgatory team. Titans at least are viable moving forward, right? They're not flush with draft capital, but they've got some stuff, whether they want to maneuver. That's why the Byard trade, I know a lot of you guys hated it, for the capital that they got back, and the player, Terrell Edmonds, I mean, he was he a healthy scratch again? He was a healthy scratch again on this past Sunday. That would be the second consecutive game that he's been scratched for. So the player's a wash.
You made that move for draft capital.
You made the move for picks.
Not for Terrell Edmonds.
You made the move for the picks, and you needed a body, so you got a body back. I know they're 5th and 6th round picks. Whatever kind of flexibility you can give yourself, you have needs everywhere. Titans probably have a quarterback. Probably.
There's confidence there.
There is optimism.
Yeah. More so than in Pittsburgh.
Yes. I am more optimistic than pessimistic about the Will Levis experience. I'm far more optimistic about the Will Levis experience than I'm pessimistic. He's 5 more games this season. Knock on something. Hopefully he stays healthy. And you can make a determination about how much more, if at all, you need to address the quarterback position with Levis in mind or with a quality backup in mind, which, of course, brings Malik into play there. Titans are not it doesn't feel like purgatory right now. It feels like hell. Like they are in hell. The Titans are not in purgatory. The Titans are a franchise in hell. Now, how they resurrect themselves in some form or fashion, not to mix my metaphors here and get us in some kind of theological trouble, but how they bring themselves back from the ashes of the 7th circle of hell, which is basically what the last year has been for them, remains to be seen. But it does feel viable because you're getting meaningful contributions out of rookies. The quarterback is the thing that is giving you the most confidence right now, which is the most important thing for you to figure out whether he's like 10 to 12 year future of your franchise, or if you're just going to build around a rookie quarterback contract and try and put together the best roster possible. Both, I think, are viable. But yeah, the two that you just named there, between the Saints and the Chargers, those are the two teams that I associate most with. Oh, they're in a bad spot. And they're in a bad spot. They're not in the worst spot, but they're in a bad spot, and there's no real viable path for them moving forward. Like they're just stuck.
So are the Titans. Are the Titans stuck in purgatory?
No, they're in hell.
Oh, they're in hell right
I just
now.
did that whole thing. No, you weren't listening. Tom Pelissero is reporting that 2 Indianapolis defensive backs have been suspended for gambling.
They're in hell with the path
I literally
forward.
just did that. I just did that, Lucas.
I had one of your. Sorry.
You made eye contact with me.
Hunk is texting me in 3HL.
What do you mean Hunk's text? I don't care who's texting you. They're not even here. They're in Boston. What could you possibly have to contribute to 3HL right now?
They're about to record with Gronk.
Oh, well, that's worth it.
Emmett says the Titans are in Dante's Inferno.
I know. I just did the whole 7 circles.
They're in Inferno with a path out, though, right?
Lucas.
Oh, is this what you just did?
I just did this for 5 minutes. I just did the Italian finger thing. My frustration, my emotions are such that they just manifested themselves into my hands, immediately closing and shaking them at you vigorously.
Repeat offender, says Tony.
Oh, my God.
That's fair.
Tony also adds, that's dumb ish that hurts the team. Well, this is not a team-centric operation. This is very much every man for himself around here. Every man, woman, and child Anyway, Panthers in hell or in purgatory? I think they're closer to purgatory. By the way, purgatory in this exercise is worse. Like, yeah, Titans in hell. Titans having an unpleasant experience. Titans not having fun. Titans fans not having fun. But there is some kind of viable option for it. There is some kind of redemption at the end of this that can absolve you of maybe if not the seventh circle of hell, maybe you move up to like the fifth and you feel a little better about it. Maybe instead of fire, it's ice. I don't know. But the Panthers are also a team in purgatory more so than hell. I think purgatory is the worst place to exist here. Because Bryce Young is on the roster already, because they traded what they did away to get the number 1 overall pick, because the roster around it is a lot worse than I think they anticipated, and because the owner is not patient enough to wait for any of that to play itself out. That is a bad situation. I would maintain that the Panthers are in the worst situation of any NFL franchise out there right now. Given what they have, what they already have on their roster, the thing that's supposed to give them the most hope. Imagine being a Titans fan and being in the Panthers situation. Imagine the easier way for me to say that is imagine being a Panthers fan. It seems like a nightmare. So to the idea of what Gentry Estes has written, Lucas, you have access to the Tennessee, and I must admit that I do not. I'm not subscribed to the Tennessee, and not for any reason beyond like I can read Nick's articles from time to time without being subscribed.
You had a free articles?
No, I think Gentry's are actually just behind the paywall, which is smart. If you want to put if the columnist is the heavy hitter, not to diminish Nick or anything like that, but anyway, I don't have a Tennessean subscription. You do. And I don't want to talk about Gentry's column here without actually being able to read Gentry's column, but I do like the premise of what it is that he's posing. Are they as dramatic as a 4-8 football team can be right now? Like, I know. So who are the other 4-win football teams, and what are the major narratives around the 4-win football teams right now? If we want to go through the list, like
Washington.
Washington. So let's put on our local media sports talk radio hats. What is the discourse in not Washington, but East Landover, Maryland? I guess technically Washington. What are they talking about on Commander Sports Talk Radio today? Ron Rivera, why the hell are you playing so much man coverage against Tyreek Hill, you fool? I don't think Ron Rivera to be an unintelligent person, but that was as wild a game plan for the Miami Dolphins as ever I've seen one.
His seat has to feel hot. And by the way, he was calling plays.
Yeah.
They fired Jack Del Rio. He is the defensive play caller.
That's why I said specifically, Ron Rivera, what the hell are you doing against Tyreek Hill there?
He's got to be, his seat's warm, right? New ownership. Like everything points towards the Commanders moving on.
Josh Harris, who is the new majority owner, beyond Magic Johnson and his opinionless tweets that are taken as opinion, and it always makes me laugh because Magic is very, very, I don't know, he's just kind of generic on Twitter, isn't he?
He's part of that group, right?
Oh yeah, no, he's a good face to have, and he's commenting on their like week by week results, which is interesting. But like I don't feel like I really learned anything from Magic. Anyway, Josh Harris, who is the controlling owner, the primary owner in the new Commander, or not in the new Commanders franchise, the new controlling owner of the Commanders franchise. Now that Dan Snyder has been ousted, he has said that they plan to practice patience, which to me means just let Rivera finish out the year and then make your evaluations from there. But are they talking about Eric Bieniemy being in a Bobby Petrino type situation here? Because if Eric Bieniemy doesn't get the Commander's job after all this, I mean, not that a job should just be handed to somebody because they've had a hard time landing the head coaching job and they've been as big a talking point as any because of who they were associated with. Has Eric Bieniemy done a good enough job with Sam Howell to be considered for the head coaching job there? That's one.
And is Sam Howell the quarterback there? By the way, Commanders are the only team in the NFL with more cap space than the Titans next year.
Oh, really? Aren't the Colts up there too?
Colts fourth most.
Ooh,
Patriots third most.
That's
Texans fifth most. So
that's scary. So basically, one of the biggest advantages that people have been talking about for the Titans is not really that big of an advantage because the rest of the division is right there with you.
The AFC South is fascinating in that regard because everybody's got their quarterback of the future and cap space to work with. Jags obviously have a pretty good roster already.
So I think that the drama around the Titans this offseason, is it more dramatic than what the Commanders are dealing with? Is it more dramatic than what the Chargers are dealing with, basically? Because there is a lot. It's getting a little, people are in survival mode in the building. Everybody's trying to keep their jobs. Some of that starts to result in back and forths. For example, we talked about people pushing back on the idea of Rand Carthon and that Tehran article and the Teach tape had been shown to all, basically all the necessary members of the organization. And then I saw Tehran went around and asked every assistant coach yesterday, which is exactly what he should do, about the Teach tape. And they provided comments on that and things like that expanded the conversation. But they are a little bit TMZ-ish right now for not being very good at football. The most interesting thing about them is who the hell's calling the shots, not what they're actually doing as a football team. Chargers, it's just like Staley just feels like The Walking Dead, where he's getting visibly frustrated. Vrabel gets frustrated with us sometimes, but not the way that Staley is. He's outwardly defensive.
That just feels over, doesn't it?
It should be.
It feels so over.
There are no results.
Yeah, nothing that you can point to in the Staley era.
Your boy.
Yeah. Shocking.
You to your credit, it's as right as you've ever been about anything. Is like, I swear to God, within the first month of us having this radio show, you were on Brandon Staley for just being kind of I don't want to put words in your mouth and say clown and fraud, but that was kind of the direction that you were headed, or were you not?
Those were the vibes.
Okay.
Yeah. 9-8 in year one, 10-7 in year two, but blew that massive lead against the Jags in the wild card game, and now 5-7, and you have effectively wasted Justin Herbert's rookie deal.
Tony says, my problem with the Titans is all the leaks and rumors. WTF, loose lips. Well, that's that's what happens at 4-8. People talk. People don't want to get blamed for all this. And, it sucks that it has to be such a disaster for that kind of stuff to get out there, because that's football games, and that's what matters most.
Where's there more drama right now? Here or the New York Jets?
Oh, the Jets.
Who are having to fend off. Zach Wilson wants to play. He doesn't want to play.
They're having to fend off how much control Aaron Rodgers has over that franchise. You know what? And the more that I think about this, did you, I don't know how much you noticed or even paid attention to the amount of commentary about how happy Aaron Rodgers is right now with the New York Jets. Seems like a new guy, right? Came in, almost looked like he got a spray tan for his introductory press conference. Had a haircut, looked like as clean-cut a version of Aaron Rodgers.
He did seem that way.
Right? Well, and it's taken me now, the better part of 6 months of this Aaron Rodgers stuff, to realize, oh no, of course he's happy. They gave him everything. They gave him everything. You know how that worked out for Green Bay? Not great. Mark Murphy is probably still pissed, the president of the Packers, about how that.
Well, he did take a pay cut. Massive pay cut.
Oh, sure. But Lucas, he's going to get his money in some form or fashion. He didn't take a pay cut. He moved the money around to give them financial flexibility. Aaron Rodgers did not take a pay cut. He did not take the same kind of deal that Kevin Byard did, which is restructuring his money to make it more incentive-laden, which is not in name a pay cut, but is.
How does that work now with Byard with the Eagles? Is it the same, that those incentives remain?
That's a good question.
And we don't have the details on what the incentives are, like a certain amount of interceptions or.
Yeah, I don't know specifics on that. I don't want to give people. I just don't know enough about that to comment, so I don't want to speak erroneously there. But yeah, when you're 4-8, when things are bad, what do you do at your job? When things are bad at your job, what do? You bitch about them. That's what's going on with a lot of different football organizations. Now, you could be the Panthers and Diana Rossini reporting on you that you have created a Hunger Games-like environment. That's not what's happening here. This is the normal. Yeah, we suck. Who's going to still have their jobs at the end of the season? Is it my fault, or can I blame somebody else? That's kind of the phase where we're in with the Titans right now. And it's not great. That's not the worst. Friday Fire. Let's pivot, shall we? Bad vibes to good vibes. That's coming up next. Need a little positivity. I don't know. I feel like we've been pretty stable as a show, other than Lucas not listening to me for, the vast majority of the program.
Too much going on back here.
Mm-hmm. Are they getting Gronk? Is that a thing? Because that'll absolve you. You're allowed to not pay attention to me if 3HL is getting Gronk and you're trying to organize it.
They better.
At this point, well, you'll just have to tune into 3HL at 3 o'clock from Boston, where they are. Are they on site? So are they at Gillette, or are they doing their show in Boston
They're
somewhere?
in downtown Boston.
Oh, good. I love Boston as a city. Because if you're a history person, you like to walk around. You like to see some stuff. The business district, Boston, tough to beat. Anyway, Friday Fire, please. Wasn't ready. Panic.
Buck Rising is one of the least positive people on the planet. So to combat that, we've installed a new segment where he's forced to be positive. Sponsored by Central Barbecue. This is Friday Fire.
Because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
It's pretty easy to be positive today, and I'll tell you why here in just a second, right after I remind you that Friday Fire is, in fact, presented by Central Barbecue. No better place for you to get your barbecue. Memphis-style, competition-level Memphis-style barbecue just down the road from us here in downtown Nashville, Hillsborough Village, the old Sportsman's Grill location. Whether that's lunch, whether that's dinner, whether that's catering, go to eatcbq.com. Daily specials also available to you. For me, it's the Nashville Predators. Now, they've won 3 in a row. 2 of those were on the road. They won 5-1 at Bridgestone Arena last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I haven't checked in on the Lightning this season. I'll keep tabs of the Preds when I have the opportunity to go to a game, or if I've got some extra time, I DVR the games just to kind of keep up to date on what's going on. They had won 6, dropped 2, and now won 3. They are really, really gifted offensively. They're fast, it would seem. And I know the start of the season was kind of rough. But this game was basically over for those of you who watched it last night and, maybe going back and forth between Thursday Night Football and hockey. This game was basically over halfway through the second period. Like, they put it on the Lightning. And I'm not used to seeing Tampa Bay look that inept. Certainly not offensively. Are the Lightning bad this year? I don't know if you paid any more attention than I have.
Similar record-wise to the Preds.
They're not too far off. But, yeah, Preds my Friday Fire.
Ryan McDonough's first goal of the season was a nasty one. Yeah, they have found something. What did you say how many they've won in the last 11? 9 of the last 11? Did you? I don't know. You're looking at me like you did.
What do you think?
No, because you're usually ill-prepared, so I don't give you the benefit of the doubt. I don't think you knew you were going to say the Preds until about 5 minutes ago.
That's right.
How many have they won in the last 11, Buck?
9.
Nice.
What's a Friday Fire?
My Friday Fire is...
What would you have done if this was the level of preparation that you were going to bring to the radio show today? This would have been a disaster.
My Friday Fire is...
Just completely glosses over it.
The Big 12 for a couple of reasons. Did you see Brett Yormark trying with all his might to hand Texas the Big 12 championship trophy after they routed Oklahoma State last Saturday?
I sure did see him try.
The boos and the SEC chants were raining down on him from Texas fans, and my goodness, they were completely drowning him out. But my main Friday Fire from the Big 12 championship game was the halftime toss, the Dr. Pepper halftime toss that was hosted by our very own Don Davenport. It was thrilling. It was way better than the actual game.
Was it triple overtime?
Double overtime.
Double overtime.
But there was controversy, and it was best case scenario for the halftime toss. I love how widely accepted now the chest pass is for the Dr. Pepper halftime toss for tuition.
Oh, that was always been controversial. And I saw in a later championship game that they did the Dr. Pepper toss. And I don't know if I was still at Lakeside. Were we still at Lakeside? Was this in the SEC championship game that the guy was throwing it like normally?
Yes. Every once in a while, I think
he was hitting it.
The chest pass is much more prominent now. People used to really get like you said, there used to be way more controversy around the chest pass.
Used to get dragged.
Yes, people used to get dragged for the chest pass, and now it feels like the norm for these competitions. But you play to win the game, as Herm Edwards once said.
It was cool to, I mean, it's always cool to see Dawn on It's always cool to see your friends on TV, whether it's Slay doing the studio stuff, whether it's Dawn, Kayla. I don't get to see Kayla's TV stuff that much because it's Titans, and I'm normally there when she's doing the TV hits, so obviously I'm not going to catch that on television from time to time, but it's always cool when you get to see your friends on TV like that.
But yeah, so some controversy on the scoreboard operator, but they got it sorted out, and the loser of that particular Dr. Pepper toss was rewarded for his efforts, so I think it was made right. But there was apparently an on-field technical error that all of America noticed resulted in an inaccurate accounting in the double tiebreaker. So Dr. Pepper gave both contestants from the Big 12 halftime toss $100,000.
Didn't they? There was one, and I can't remember. It was it's a group of 5, not Power 5 championship game that Dr. Pepper didn't even have them do the toss. They just gave, they just picked somebody to give $25,000 to. It was like, wait, there's not enough television cameras and angles here for us to do this for the Mountain West championship game or whatever the case may be.
My favorite thing about it is the coin toss, where one side of the coin is just regular Dr. Pepper and the other side is sugar-free. And the ref who they hire to do the halftime toss says, it's sugar-free. You've won the toss.
Do you think that person is made sad by that being the height of their refereeing aspirations? Do you think that they went in thinking that they were going to be Ed Hockley, they were going to be officiating Super Bowls and NBA championships and things of the like, and they said, no, Johnny, you're going to officiate the Dr. Pepper coin toss.
I do want to know the backstory of the referees selected for the Dr. Pepper toss.
It's just like the bands that do rights-free music. Like, how did you get there? What happened?
I don't know.
I'm curious to know.
It's a good gig if you can get it.
All right. That's Friday Fire. Good gig if you can get it. Coming up next, we'll talk about the future of the AFC South. Lucas brought up the Titans cap space, but also in that same breath, the Colts and the Texans, the advantages that the Titans have, they're not as big as you might think as they try and get back into this thing with the other three looking a little bit more promising. Tyjae Spears will join us. All of that is in the final hour. Coming up next.
It is just about 12 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The Tennessee Titans will be off Sunday ahead of the Monday night matchup in Miami. Thursday, Christian Fulton, Joe Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, and Josh Wiley did not practice. Mike Vrabel will meet with the media coming up in the 2 p.m. hour. On Saturday afternoon, it's the Army-Navy game in Foxborough. 3HL will be on site as the game kicks off at 2 p.m. Broadcast coverage begins on The Zone at 2:30. Tennessee basketball back in action Saturday morning. The 17th-ranked Vols hosting number 20 Illinois for an 11 a.m. tip-off. Vol Network coverage starts at 10:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Happy Friday. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you just now joined, we're happy to have you too. 615-737-1045 is the number. We got one more hour here with us. Blaine and Mickey after that. 3HL live from Army-Navy. They'll be broadcasting in downtown Boston. They'll be right here for you on these very Middle Tennessee radio waves. Tyjae Spears is going to join us here in like 15 minutes? Talk to the Titans stud running back, one of the more encouraging players on this roster. And if for no other reason, I don't want to do the whole interview about what a good attitude he's had about how bad they've been here recently. But I do think that I have a lot of respect for the way that he carries himself, and for him to be able to articulate some of that, I think you'll enjoy. So we'll look forward to Tyjae Spears here in just a little bit. First time I think we've had him since training camp, yeah?
Yes. Did we have him at training camp?
We did have him at training camp. Remember, because he talked to us about the shoe feds. The shoe feds were going to get me.
That's right.
Because I had creases in my Nikes, unfortunately. Anyway, future of the AFC South. Tajay Spears is a part of it. There's a bunch of people who are a part of it at this point, and it looks pretty promising. Name me a more promising division. Results kind of are already there. How sustainable they are. But prior to this season, would we have not said that the division whose competitiveness you feel the best about moving forward is the AFC North, where Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Kenny Pickett, and who am I forgetting?
Deshaun
Watson. That's right. Who isn't infinitely forgettable, or at least his play has been at this point. Nah, he is not forgettable. His play has been. But he's done for the year. Would we have not said, heading into the year, that, at the time, not armed with the knowledge that Deshaun Watson was going to continue to underperform en route to season-ending injury, that the AFC North is the division that we felt best about because of the state of quarterbacking in it? What other division rivals the AFC North? Now you would argue the AFC South has the potential to. We'll see what happens when Richardson comes back. You have, obviously, C.J. Stroud, who's a legitimate MVP candidate. Trevor Lawrence has the Jags still in the driver's seat of the division. They're losing ground on the number 1 overall seed, but there's time. And the Titans, who are in the basement, who are a 4-win football team. But the thing that makes them the most exciting is the thing that everybody wants, a promising young quarterback in Will Levis. I don't know that there's a division that there should be more optimism about anywhere else in football. And I'm talking collectively. I understand why Titans fans would be like, I don't care about optimism for the Texans or the Jags. Damn that. You'd be right as a Titans fan. But I actively root for all 4 of them to be great because I want to watch the best possible football twice a year. And I'm envious of what the AFC North has. I love how close those games are. And listen, the Titans are coming off one of them. Where Jalen Duncan was asked yesterday. So, Lucas, you brought up Jalen Duncan yesterday. Maybe worth grabbing off Jim Wyatt's timeline if you found yourself able to do so. But Jalen Duncan, right? He's a rookie 6th-round pick. He's one of several rookies of this 6-man rookie draft class. or six-man draft class from 2023. Ran Carthon's first as the Titans general manager here. All six providing dividends in some form or fashion to date, if for no other reason than they've been forced into action. And Jalen Duncan, the rookie left tackle, listen, he was not good on Sunday. He gave up 9 total pressures. It was a tough day for Jalen Duncan, and hopefully there's a lot of opportunities for him to learn and improve from that if you're a Titans fan. But he was seen or caught on camera. I don't want to make it like gotcha, caught. But there was an image on the television broadcast of him with the final score after they lose in overtime in tears. And he's asked about that yesterday in the locker room by Wyatt. This is the exchange with Jalen Duncan.
We've been honest, kind of been like that ever since I started playing football. I don't really like losing. I don't take losing lightly. I get like I said, y'all seen I got a little emotional after the game, the loss. I could have performed a lot better. So, it's been hard on myself. Just wishing I could take some plays back, but it is what it is. I seen him. He was just like, it was a good thing that you care. Just get back in there and get ready for next week. So, I feel like I get better every time I step out there. I go here with great preparation, get ready for the week. And, every time I step out there, I guess you could say like nerves and the first-time jitters, they go away. This will be my 3rd week out there, so I'm just going to go out there and have fun.
So that first part, Lucas, anything jump out to you there?
About not liking losing?
Yeah. Juxtaposed for what his fan base is, I don't want to say his entire fan base is wishing on him, but there's a lot of Titans fans who just want them to lose. So you got Will Levis, who is out there fighting for it, right? And you're saying, yeah, that's nice, but lose. Better draft pick. You got Jalen Duncan, who's in tears afterwards because he cares that much about a team he just got to and just started actually playing for. And in a heartbreaking last-second overtime loss to a divisional opponent is saying, yeah, I take that stuff seriously. Yeah, but lose for a better draft pick.
But even the most irrational of fans should know that that's not how the players will operate. And if a fan's take is that the players should want to lose for a better draft pick, that's the most easily dismissible take that you could ever receive. Sure.
But what I'm saying to you is it gets into a bit of a and I'm not going to pretend like I'm a psychologist. But if you are in a position where losses are piling up on people who can't stand them, right? People who are driven to tears by losing a football game. And listen, this is their money, this is their future, this is their profession. But like you and I have had, thank God, a really good run at performing below what we thought our expectations were. We just went back out there, tried to figure out what the hell to do. And then, turns out the formula is me being pissed about stuff and you not listening to me. And people like that. I don't get it, but whatever. We'll make it work. But we're not crying about that. All that to say, like, the losing is problematic, even if you think it nets you the best possible outcome as a draft pick. Because the where of it, as we talked about yesterday, with guys being comfortable popping off on social media about it, expressing opinions that are held by others in that locker room and saying, yes, but the losing is the best thing for you. Are you sure? Because the players, there can be legitimate consequences here. If you're somebody if you are somebody who wants professional athletes to care about your franchise the way that you as a fan want to care, and I don't want to lecture fans. I don't want that to turn into what this is. I just think that you can't have it both ways because there's one set of athlete mentality that's going to say, I care about my paycheck. I care about the film that I'm putting out there. I care about not just this opportunity, but if my next opportunity is here or elsewhere, this is just a logo on a helmet to me. And I'll go out there and I'll bust it because film is everywhere in the NFL, and I'm going to try and ride this thing out as much as humanly possible. Or do you want people who are actually invested in the success of this place? Those two things are sometimes separate. They don't always have to be.
Well, and bring it back to the rookies, because Tyjae Spears is about to join the show. Like, they are only invested in the success of this place right now. Those are not guys that are playing for tape to land elsewhere. Maybe some guys that are about to be free agents and veterans are, not the rookies that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And, I mean, is any other, like with the AFC South quarterback discussion, is there any other team in the AFC South with as much rookie contribution as the Titans? It would be between Titans and Texans.
Texans for sure.
They're a very young team.
And it sucks that Tank Dell's probably done for – is he done for the year?
Yeah, fractured his fibula, I believe. So, but include Tank Dell in the discussion because he had a fantastic season and he's been C.J. Stroud's go-to target. I'll pull up the Texans draft class.
If for no other reason than the injuries and like stuff like benching Dillard and things like that, and then NPF getting hurt, have forced all these different players into a role in some form or fashion. No, I'd be hard pressed. They sent us something in the supplemental notes prior to the Colts game about the level of rookie contributions that this team has gotten so far, and I don't know what the latest numbers on that are. But it is a good point by you. We can talk about this with Tyjae Spears. He's coming up next. Welcome back. Tyjae Spears going to join us here in just a little bit. Titans back out on the practice field. No Sunday football, Monday night for these Titans in Miami. I'll be there. Fly down on Sunday morning. Have a little time. We'll do the primetime show from Miami. Well, I guess technically from Aventura on Sunday night, and the radio show from Miami, where studio space has been provided for Ramon Foster and myself on Monday. We're excited about it. Should be, it feels pretty like daunting. I mean, it's obviously daunting, the Dolphins game. But I still think that there's the opportunity for some fun stuff in there. I mean, Tyjae Spears is one of the most encouraging, if not the most encouraging rookie on the roster. And we'll kind of get into what he is encouraged by from his rookie class here in just a little bit. He's just a fascinating guy. And we've talked to him a little bit, whether it's on the radio show or in the locker room, about how he goes about processing things, how his background's kind of put him in a position to have the attitude that he does, and where that lends itself to his success as a player, and how important it is for the Titans to have players like that right now. He was talking to us in the locker room, and obviously, nobody. Mike Vrabel's line is, nobody did well enough. If you lose the game as a team, then nobody did well enough as a team to win the game. But there just is so much to be encouraged by from this rookie class as you kind of look at how the bones of this are going to, lift up the next version of what this football team is. But in the meantime, Titans have a huge game coming up in Miami on Monday Night Football. Lucas apparently and Tyjae have already been going back and forth about the Tulane job. Is that what's happening, Tyjae?
Yeah, he had put it back on my mind again, man. I was telling him how sad I was that Coach Spears left, man.
Yeah, that's got to be kind of double-edged for you, right? Because as having success there, having as much success as you guys did there during his time there is awesome, and you want to see that continue to build as a program. But I'm sure you're excited for your guy to get another opportunity.
Yes, I'm super. It's sad to see him go, but I'm super excited for him. To see him with another opportunity in a bigger division. Around a different organization. Turning around and do the same thing he did there, even better.
So what is that like? Because there's not a lot of people who have that experience, kind of seeing a coach or a group of individuals, whether that's a draft class, a recruiting class, as an organization, come in and legitimately change things to have quantifiable success. What did you kind of learn from that experience?
I learned a lot from that experience. I just really learned, just being humble, going through that 2-10 process, and also, persevering. Also, that we actually went through a lot through that season. Ida had hit. We was displaced out of our homes for most of the season, and we just had trial after trial after trial. But one thing I can say about that 2-10 season, our record doesn't reflect who we were. You know what I'm saying? Because we came every game and fought. In every game we didn't lose it by nothing but 5 points until it got out of hand. So it taught me a lot, and it kind of giving me flashbacks. Because to the point that we're here now, it's just telling me just to stay humble and also just stay in the fight and always just put your best foot up forward, just no matter what. You know what I'm saying? We're going through tough times right now, but they don't last. But it also it brought together a strong group. And it can testify how strong we was, because we went from 2-10 to 12-2. So it definitely taught me a lot, and I'm more than thankful for it.
Titans running back Tyjae Spears here with us on 104.5 The Zone. No Sunday football, Monday Night Football, prime time for the Titans in Miami. They'll be up against the Dolphins. You can hear it right here on 104.5 The Zone. So yeah, that's a really apt comparison, Tyjae, because a lot of times it's easy for, whether it's fans, whether it's media vultures like us, to think about it not from that context, right? Where we have not seen the kind of things. I've never been through a 2-10 football season in my life to have that kind of perspective or context. But the idea of bringing a group together through the losing, nobody likes to go through those down times, but the way that it can kind of further entrench a group of individuals to build upon that and learn from those mistakes.
Yeah, that's what people don't talk about enough. You know, everybody want to win, or who don't want to win, but like when it's time to go through those different things, like who are you going to be? You know, who are you going to be in that given time? Are you just going to like, you know, tear down and crumble up and break and break apart? Are you going to assemble and, you know, build something stronger for now and in the near future to come? So like, you know, we kind of going through that process too, but you know, we just got to understand. We just got to stay together and just, you know, just build off the small things. Because if we had it all figured out, you know what I'm saying, if we had it all figured out, we wouldn't need practice. We would be perfect, and we wouldn't need a lot of things that we got to go through. So, you know, everything happens for a reason. And, like, I'm all aboard from what is, you know, we win the rest of the remaining of our games or whatever it might be. So I'm all aboard for it. That's just, you know, I'm going to be here through whatever.
That attitude seems to permeate not just your rookie class, but there's a lot of guys in that locker room who give off that same energy. But for you and the rest of the rookies right now, Tyjae, like whether it's injury that's forced you guys into action, whether that's opportunities that were earned right out of the gate in the case of you or Peter, or what Will has provided since coming into the lineup first in relief of Tannehill and now kind of taking over that role. It just seems like we came in here, Lucas and I, on Monday morning after the Colts game, and it was weird because, you know, you don't want to say that you were encouraged by things in a loss, but we could not move off the idea that you all fought like hell to try and win that game, took it to overtime, and gave yourselves an opportunity. And I think it kind of permeates your rookie class as a group, it seems, at least from the outside.
Yeah, and I agree with that. You know, like we fought to the end. Like you said, there's a lot of guys with that attitude around here, and it's, you know, it's a lot of rookies. And like, you know, as rookies, like we just try to talk to each other. I just try to make not just saying like me. I just try to make sure like, you know, we all uplifted. You know, once, you know, we check in probably like once a week or once every 2 weeks. You know, we like check in like, man, you good? You sure you good? Like, how you feeling? Like different things like that. And like that's guys that you want to be around. Like those guys is gonna always fight. You know, no matter what it look like, you want those guys around you that's gonna fight. You know, to possibly change the outcome. You know what I'm saying? Like like I said, every day ain't gonna be perfect. You're gonna have to go through more than enough to get to where you're trying to get to. But I feel like, you know, we're gonna have a bright future. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what is that, you know, I don't know, I can't tell you when, but I know everything is gonna get brighter.
And that's the message that you were preaching to I'm sure not just us afterwards when we met with you in the locker room, but certainly throughout the course of the week as you guys get ready for this one coming up. As you kind of go through that process, whether that's together with your rookie teammates, whether that's as an offense, whether that's the team collectively as a whole, Derrick Henry is regarded as, you know, an otherworldly figure here for obvious reasons, not just what he does on the football field, but the level of involvement in the community. And I mean, we've talked to Will about every time you hand off to him at a certain point, you're either making some kind of NFL history or some kind of franchise history. What's it been like to kind of see that in real time, and while you guys go through this adversity, learn from the way that somebody like Derrick handles it?
It's definitely been, you know, it's been great, you know, learning from him and just like sharing a room with him and like hearing his thoughts on like his runs and hearing his thoughts on like some of the runs that I have, and even so like runs around the league. It's just been great, man. Because like it's just been like really cool like to see him achieve all that, because he's like so critical on himself. Like we kind of like the same person, like when it comes to like just being critical on ourselves, like thinking that we could have did more, like to, you know, to maximize the run that we may have, or also sometimes we just gotta pull each other off each other. Like, man, like you tripping, you gotta tone it down a little bit, because like what you thinking and what you maybe feeling like it wasn't there. But just, you know, it's just great, you know what I'm saying? He come out here every day, he come to work, you know, he's a humble guy. He don't really like, you know, bash his talent or bash, you know, his accolades in people's face. You know, I kind of overheard him on the sideline saying something, you know, it kind of stuck with me, like, dang, you know what I'm saying? He's still accomplishing all these, you know, different things, and he's still humble. So, like, it's great sharing a room with him and learning from him for how many years it's to come over here.
Do you almost have to have that mindset of that level of being your own biggest critic, Tyjae, as an athlete, whether that's, you know, at the college ranks, high school, professional? You guys, you know, basically your entire lives build up to the moment where you get your shot at the pros and how you capitalize on it from there. But like I see that so much from Will, where he's walking into the press conference room with us on Sunday afternoon and saying, like, I think that was my worst performance as a Titan. And we're all looking around at him like, but there's just that almost seems to an extreme. But I imagine that there almost has to be some of that when you guys are expected to not just perform, but continue to demand better of yourselves or have the coaching staff demand better of you. It seems like kind of a constant process that way.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just like either you're going to be good, either you want to be good or you want to be great. You know what I'm saying? Like, in this game, we can, like, just accept a lot of things and be like, okay, we can just accept to be average. But, like, it's going to be a time to where you got to, face it. And, like, man, I actually could have did more. I actually played bad this game. And I got to find, like, what I got to do in order to correct my mistakes and, make sure I don't have that game again. You got to be the biggest critic of yourself because – going around, like, people are sugarcoat it to you. Like, nah, you ain't doing that bad. But, you got those people that say, like, man, you got to tighten up. But you just got to be your biggest critic of yourself because at the end of the day, that's when it's time to face a person in the mirror, that's who you face. You know what I'm saying? You want to always be real with yourself. Also, like, just being the biggest critic of yourself, you want to also give yourself a little leeway, too. You don't want to always beat yourself up. Like, okay, I made these mistakes, but guess what? I'm going to correct them. I'm going to correct them in the week of practice, and I'm going to have a way better game Sunday or Monday or Thursday, whenever we play again. So, like, you just got to – it's a fine line between, being your biggest critic and also, like, giving yourself, a little leeway. And also patting yourself on the back, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, we in the league, man. The guys that we're going against, they're getting paid, too. So they might make a few plays on us. But as long as we, make more plays than them, I guess we'll be all right at the end of the day.
Tyjae Spears, Titans running back, hanging out with us before he heads out to practice here on 104.5 The Zone.
So, Tyjae, you come in for Derek on Sunday. You have a career day rushing the football. But I'm curious, as you look at the 12 games you've played in this year, if there is a specific play or game that sticks out to you the most from what you've accomplished so far in your rookie year that you think could be the most memorable. I've got one in mind. I'm curious if you do.
Just like, I don't know what you're going to say, but I think, like, I was just in the zone. When we played the Chargers, I was, like, so much in the zone. Like, I was so present. And I was present. I was the same way this Sunday, but, like, one I can think of, like, just the Chargers just so present. Just me getting up after every first down I made, like, just being, like, showing expression and, like, just that was, like, my first real time, like, touching the ball in an NFL game. So I was like, man, I can actually play in this league and actually, like, be somebody.
Okay, here's the one I have in mind. It's a specific run from the Cincinnati Bengals game. This is the Titans radio call of the run. You tell me if you can remember the play, maybe walk us through it.
Tannehill under center. Toss sweep. Spears juggling it. Picks it up. Comes back to the other side. Finds room. 30. Tannehill blocking. 35, 40, 45. And he's taken down at midfield. Oh, it's like a carnival act. He was the juggler in the backfield. And Spears keeps his poise, reverses his field, and is able to get it forward for 22.
They practiced that, Mike. I saw that in practice.
That's a play?
Take it, dribble it a few times, then reverse court.
Nice.
Can you confirm Coach Mack's report there? Is that a practice play, or was that just a bit of athletic miracle work by you?
Nah, we practiced that. No, I'm just playing. I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm glad I picked it up and, I could have made something shake, but I couldn't have did that without Tanny lead blocking, so I appreciate you, Tanny.
So when you go back over that play in film, what does Vrabel say to you?
He didn't say nothing. He's like, we got our little guy dropping the ball and picking it up, like we ain't going, like, he was just, like, using it as a point, like, even though things might happen, like, out of our control, like, it's all about the thing. Could have easily dove on the ball, just let the ball go because guys closing the distance, and it could have been their ball, but I just kept on fighting. You know what I'm saying? Just to try to make some mistake, trying to make a bad play a good play, not trying to make a bad play a worse play.
That's exactly the attitude that I'm sure the coaching staff loves. Tyjae, it's been so much fun to watch you throughout the course of the season so far. Looking forward to how the next 5 go, and appreciate you coming back on the radio show. This was fun. Hope we didn't bog you down too much.
Nah, man, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good day.
That's Taj Spears hanging out with us before he heads to practice on 104.5 The Zone. That Chargers game, 8 carries, 49 yards. He had a 14-yard rush, targeted twice, 2 catches, caught both of the targets, just 6 yards receiving, but was efficient, was effective, and helped them win that game in overtime. Lucas also went to a win the very next week where a little bit of a scramble play on that. What did Coach Matt call it? Dribbling the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunate bounce there, but he made the most of it. But just a good example of an off-schedule play that Spears was making all over the place in the Senior Bowl, that he was making in that, the Cotton Bowl against USC when Tulane won that game to cap an 11-win season. I just felt like that play encapsulated what he's able to do in a chaotic moment more than anything.
He's their bailout. Like, he's their bailout player. When they don't have bleep and they're in a 3rd and 6 plus, it's not the best that it's predictable that Tyjae Spears is at least going to be a target. But you know that Tyjae Spears might be able to do something. And Mike Vrabel talks about that all the time. Like, hey, when we're critical of like a draw on 3rd and 5 or something like that. And he says, well, listen, Tyjae's one of the hardest players to bring down in the league. If we're going to try anything that's not going to put us – I'm not defending the idea of being conservative in that moment, but I don't necessarily think he's a conservative play. You know what I'm saying? I think that he's their best chance for a bailout play, and I think that's kind of a disparity between how fans look at it and even myself in real time. I get frustrated with those plays too. And then you see just how often he does special things with the ball in his hand. You're like, okay, I kind of understand what they're getting at here.
It feels like they finally found that compliment to Henry they've been looking for the entire Derrick Henry era.
Yeah, it just sucks that it comes at the end.
Exactly. That's the question, I think, for Titans fans. Is this the only season that you get to see Spears and Henry on the field together?
It's such a fascinating question because if you keep Derrick, but he's not the primary running back. Like, in essence, if Derrick Henry becomes 4th down when you've got a lead and that's about it, and Tyjae Spears is your primary running back, does that negate the value of Derrick Henry on the roster? Because in order for Derrick Henry to be Derrick Henry, he has to get carries. And that's just not, the game situation has dictated as much Tyjae this year as it has Derrick because obvious passing situations. Now, Tyjae is not getting more touches than Derrick Henry, which is where I think people get caught up. They're in obvious passing situations. Tyjae comes on the field. His snap count goes up, but he's not getting the ball. It's one of the biggest problems. I don't want to call it a problem because, the solution is let Derrick walk, have Tyjae be the primary running back, and bring in another cost-effective running back that doesn't have to be Derrick Henry, but, for sentimental reasons, wouldn't you like it to be?
You know where Derrick Henry ranks among NFL running backs in PFF's player grades for this season?
Among running backs? I bet Derrick's... Oh, but they're going to knock his efficiency. I'm going to say he's in the top 10.
Two. Behind only Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey has a grade of 91.1. Henry has a grade of 90.8. Number 3 is Raheem Mostert, who the Titans will see on Monday, who has a grade of 84.2.
That. I don't want to say it's surprising because we know that Derrick is not to blame here. The offensive line, it's like that clip that we've played before. Players, it's not on you. It's on the coaches. Well, in this case, Derrick, it's not on you. It's on the lineman. And, of course, he's never going to say that. And it's just kind of the nature. It's not like the linemen are busting their ass to block for Derrick Henry. I truly and honestly believe that. It's just it's a tough spot that the two parties who very much need each other are in right now because the offensive line unit is doing what they can, but what they can do is not good enough. AJ says, AJ in the F&M Bank chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can live stream the show there. He says, of Henry and Spears, they are the perfect tandem. I just don't, that doesn't compute to me. And maybe I'm being too short-sighted about it because maybe there is a solution in which, all right, we talked about it this week on the podcast with Cosell. I said, Greg, is there a case to be made for Tyjae Spears being the primary back in the Titans offense? And he said, yeah, you could easily make the case that with their offensive line situation, with Spears' ability to elude that Derek, it's just not a part of Derek's repertoire. It never has been, right? Derek physically push people out of the way, but he's not necessarily making people miss on a snap-in, snap-out basis.
Yeah, Derek is yards after contact. Tyjae manages to find yards before contact more than he should, right?
So
more than normal.
So in that sense, like maybe the solution is, and we don't have to worry about this for 5 more weeks, but maybe the solution is Spears is the primary, Derek is the closer, and that's as simple as it needs to be. And, maybe Derek's comfortable with that role. Maybe he's not. Maybe Titans fans are comfortable with that role. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But as that draws closer, I mean, the idea that, like let's put it in this context. Is there a world in which the last 5 games of this season are the last 5 games that we see of Derrick Henry in a Titans uniform?
Of course there is.
Absolutely.
He's in the last year of his deal.
Absolutely. They have the cash. The question is usage. This year it seems like they're struggling to kind of figure that out, and I don't know if that should be a knock on the coaching staff or if the solution isn't just made easier by, okay, well then get a player that you feel like you can use better. And I hope that's not to Derek's detriment, but we'll see. There's time. 615-737-1045. Chuck is in Clarksville.
Hey, Buck. I'm going to make a case for Derek staying 1 more year. First of all, like you said, his PFF grade is 2nd in the league, so he's not deteriorating. He's right there at the top. And with Derek in the game, the option of a, fake for a pass is a lot better than with Tyjae in the game. So the play action is a lot better with Derek than it is with Tyjae, and it will be next year because of that. And he's going to rush for maybe 400-500 more yards this year, probably about 400 more yards. He's only going to be about 500 yards away from breaking Eddie George's record. So I think you can get him to sign a 1-year, maybe $7 million deal, 3 years of the cap, $3 million of the cap, $4 million signing bonus, and let him play out to 1 more year and break the record and be effective for the Titans next year on the play action and on the running.
Thanks for the call. So you said how much in cap space?
That the Titans have?
Yeah.
Over $86 million.
Do I want $7 million of that going to a running back over 30? I do not.
Fascinated at what the market for Derrick Henry is going to be in 3 years.
Very, very. Because I almost think they're going to be – I mean, somebody will give Derrick Henry a contract to play football for them next year. I don't know that the Titans aren't kind of bidding against themselves like $7 million. $7 million to me sounds egregious. I don't want to shortchange the man. He is an exceptional player, but the problem with running back is they are almost held, at least right now, post CMC's Carolina contract, post Henry's contract, post Zeke's contract. They are almost dinged for production in a way that no other position is. Like the production and the usage, more frankly put, is held against them. And $7 million for Derrick Henry, even though 86 million next to 7 sounds like a lot. That percentage of cap space does not. I don't like that.
What about 4 or 5?
I would certainly be more amenable to 4 or 5 than I would to 7.
His presence, like we could talk about usage, but Sam points out Henry's the most effective weapon as far as play action goes. Titans are utilizing play action this year more than they have in quite some time.
Sure.
With Tim Kelly, Henry has a lot to do with that.
Yeah. There's definitely a case to be made for it, but I just want the case to cost less than $7 million. Anyway, last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045. Lucas wants to fight. Lucas wants to fight with something that's happening in his neighborhood in East Nashville. I don't want to out where you live because people will bring you your fan mail directly instead of just sending it to the F&M Bank chat on a regular basis. But we'll do that. Last call for phone calls, like I said, before we turn you over to Blaine and Mickey. Coming on back. Boogie Shoes means it's the end of the week. You know, even at 4-8, it's still fun. We're still appreciative that you guys hang out with us as much as you do. Thanks for letting us do this silly little radio show from 10 to 1 here on The Zone. Last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045. D. Good says, no, it's not. Being fun at 4-8. Well, I'm sorry. I can't speak for you. We're having, well, I don't want to say we. I don't want to lump you in there. I still have fun doing the radio show, even though the football team sucks.
Yeah, calling this a job, it's not a job. So, yes, it's fun. But I would like to have a Titans Talkback postgame show after a win. That would be pleasant for me.
Do you anticipate one on Monday night? Well, how does that work? Do you do Titans Talkback on Monday night?
Yeah, it's shortened. I mean, we'll go, 90 minutes or so, Kevin Dyson and myself, but I am over since I do Titans Talkback after all the road games.
Oh, goodness. So we'll see. We'll have another show to talk about that. Brick is in Antioch up next.
Hey, Buck, just want to say watch your show every day. I love it. I find a way to agree and disagree with you every day.
Thank you.
I just got to say this, get this off my chest, though. Derrick Henry, man, he's just the type of player that I think you got to try to retire and give him an option to leave. We've never had anybody like that in Titans history, or there's not been many like that in NFL history at all. So to have a great like that retire the Titans is like an honor. At least give him a choice. This is the type of player that you could really keep forever and change positions if you needed, fullback, tight end. I don't know. He's got the body style to do anything in the NFL. He's probably got more passes than Will Levis right now. I don't know. But the guy is just a champion, and I've got to say he's my favorite Titan, and I want to keep him around. I'll do anything I could. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. I don't anticipate a positional change. Let's start there. Listen, I get it. People love Derrick Henry. You don't want to see him go. Football is the job where everybody always gets the option to retire or to resign, except for football players. Football players don't typically get the option. So while that is I don't want to call it a fairy tale scenario. It's a real scenario. But we'll see how it plays out, is all I'll say. Quickly, you want to talk about Vols hoops or you want to talk about this fight? I think we need to give ourselves some time here. I think I need to give you that. This is rare when I'm willing to give you more airtime than you've already got. But I think that this news story on a site that's Instagram account that I can't say on FCC safe airwaves that first broke this news about a lawsuit going on between a neighbor and one of your favorite institutions in East Nashville.
Yeah, this is hitting the news, too. News Channel 5, the Tennessean's been reporting on this. Basically, Roy's Meat Service is an establishment in East Nashville, literally right next to my house, that is very, very significant in the community, that did a lot after the 2020 tornado that obviously tore through East Nashville. And Jeff Roy, who owns Roy's Meat Service, is one of the best humans that you'll ever meet. And I go there multiple times a week, whether it's for convenient items. If I need an onion, I'll walk over to Roy's Meats. If I want one of their delicious pulled pork sandwiches, I'll walk over there. Long story short, woman moves to Nashville from I don't know where. Woman moves right behind Barbecue Market. Woman sues said barbecue market over smell of barbecue. It's an absolute joke, and Roy's Meat Service is going to have plenty of backup in this because they are a community establishment. It is completely laughable, and I look forward to a pulled pork sandwich from there pretty soon.
Yeah, this is the headline. An East Nashville butcher, which is, of course, Roy's Meat Service, caught in a legal dispute with his neighbor, says she is, quote, trying every way she can to shut down his store. Madam.
Please leave.
I'm not going to use this microphone to threaten anybody, but we don't know necessarily. Although she has opened herself up because if her property backs up directly to Roy's Meat Service, then it's fair to assume that people are going to know where she's at. This seems a bold strategy by her.
It'd be like moving next to train tracks and then suing whatever train company rolls through there because you're blocked off every now and then from a particular street. It's hilarious. It's ridiculous.
The lawsuit states that it has led to, quote, fumes of burning wood that permeate the plaintiff's property whenever someone cooks meat. Yes, that is what happens. Most people would be delighted by the smell of cooked meat.
The smell is amazing. The smell is incredible.
So I don't know where this individual's from. I don't know who she is. But it's like the Liam Neeson thing. I don't know who you are, but I have a particular set of skills. And also, get the hell out of here. You're going to lose this one. Polls, please.
Stop the count. Stop the count. The polls have closed and the votes have been tallied. Now, here's your favorite Buck Rising Show correspondent, Lucas Polzica.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, who sells below MSRP on any non-specialty new Ford. Who has been the most encouraging? Titans rookie, Tyjae Spears, Will Levis, or Peter Skoronski? 47% say Levis, 31% say Spears, 22% say Skoronski.
Oh, it's Levis because he's a quarterback, but Spears is the answer that my mind says Levis, my heart says Spears. He was great today, by the way. If you missed that interview, Lucas, it's already up on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel.
Correct.
All right.
Remember to subscribe.
You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can check it out via the podcast. It is the very, very humbly titled Buck Rising Show podcast.
Is there a division in the NFL with a more exciting future at the quarterback position than the AFC South? 93% say no.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. I mean, like I said, the North, pre-Watson kind of whatever this is, you felt good about it. The AFC South, given that they're all rookies, I mean, with the exception of Lawrence, 3 rookies, and Trevor Lawrence, who is on the precipice of getting paid major quarterback contract money. Lot to like.
There's one other division that every team in that division drafted that quarterback within the top 33, like the AFC South, and it's the AFC East, right? With Tua, Josh Allen, Zach Wilson, and Mac Jones. And go ahead and compare those two if you want.
We're not going to.
Which NFL head coach is most likely to be fired first? 50% say Brandon Staley, 32% say Ron Rivera, 12% say Matt Eberflus, only 6% say Belichick.
I mean, at this point, it all feels like they're out at the end of the year.
There is a scenario for sure where that happens. Which SEC head coach of a non-bowl eligible team faces the most pressure in 2024? 69% nice say Billy Napier, 12% say Sam Pittman, 10% Clark Lee, 9% Shane Beamer, and those are the polls.
Excellent. That's the show. We appreciate you guys. Prime time on Sunday night from Miami. 615 Sessions podcast later this afternoon. Blaine and Mickey, they got you next.